Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back to Civil Engineers YouTube channel. Guys, today's topic is design of isolated footing. Many civil engineering students, especially in India and Pakistan and different countries, they completed civil engineering degree, but they are not able to design isolated footing. Even they don't know what are the steps and what are the guidelines for design of isolated footing. So therefore guys, you must watch this video from start to end, that what are the guidelines for design of isolated footing. As you know guys, isolated footing is the very important footing in civil engineering, and this is economical footing for building construction. So therefore you should know about isolated footing and its guidelines for design of isolated footing. So let's start guys. If the topic is helpful for you, so you will not fail for like this video. So like the video, and if you did not subscribe the channel, so subscribe the channel with press bell icon. Let's start guys. So here are some objective for design of isolated footing. Here the first one is, as you can see, that is we need to find area of footing. We need to find area of footing because we have different shapes in isolated footing, as you know, like square footing, okay, and rectangular footing, and also circular footing, okay, in isolated footing especially. So guys, how we can find, the first step is, or the first guideline is to find area of footing. Area of footing, okay, if that is square or rectangular or circular. So the first step is area footing. So you should know about area footing, how you can find area footing. So if you don't know, so the link is in the description of this video, how to find area of isolated footing. Then you are able to watch the video or read some books or research for area footing for isolated especially. Okay, so this is the first. The second one is guys, thickness of footing. If you find area footing, okay, then we need to find thickness of footing. What should be the thickness of footing? We require to find thickness of footing. This is the other guideline to find thickness of footing. Okay, the third one is guys, reinforcement details of footing, means reinforcement details for footing with satisfying moment and shear force consideration. Okay, also you should find its moments and also shear force for reinforcement details, especially for footing. Okay, this is the other. And also the other one is check for development length and shearing stresses. Development length and also shearing stresses is also important to find for design of isolated footing. As you know, development length is the important in isolated footing, okay, which make a good bond between concrete and steel. Okay, now guys, these 4 points, all these things carry out the consideration the load on footing. So all these things are depend on the load of footing, which load comes on the footing, so it's depend on the structure load. So first of all, we should find the area of footing, thickness of footing, reinforcement details and moments at shear force, and also check the development length with the help of load, because we find the different area of footing from the reference of load. Okay, what should be the load, acting load on the footing. Okay, so all these things is depend on the load on footing. Also safe bearing capacity, SBC of the soil. If the bearing capacity of the soil, if SBC is good, so we don't need to provide more area for footing, more thickness for footing, because all these things is also depend on the safe bearing capacity of soil. Also guys, grade of concrete. As you know, we have different grade of concrete. I've already discussed in many videos. Okay, as you know, M stand for mix, like M15, M20, M25, okay, M30, etc. Okay, so these things is also depend on the grade of concrete. And minimum cover to main reinforcement. Okay, minimum cover to main reinforcement, as you can see when we provide here in this section, you can see, for example, these are steel bars. Okay, main are distribution. Okay, so concrete cover, this is concrete cover at the bottom and also at the side. Okay, so the concrete cover should not be less than 50 mm. Less than 50 mm. It should be 50 mm. It should not be less than 50 mm. As you can see, minimum cover to main reinforcement should not be less than 50 mm on the surface of the contact with the earth face. At the bottom and also at the side, it should not be less than 50 mm. And the diameter of main reinforcement should not be less than 10 millimeters. It means the steel, main steel should not be less than, our main bar and footing should not be less than 10 millimeter. Okay, this is very important. Now guys, come to the steps to follow in the design of footing are. So these are some tips to design of footing. Okay, which are: the first one, find out area of footing based on the factor load. As you know, structure load and the loads applied on the footing. Okay, so load on the footings. So find out the area of footing according to factor loads. Second, assume the suitable thickness of footing, as I discussed. Third, find out the critical section for flexure and shear. Also, you will find the critical section. This is the other. So you should research for these things, okay, if you don't know. Now find out the bending moment and shear force at critical section for footing. So therefore it is very important. Find out the bending moment and shear force, and these all things depends on the factor loads which coming on the isolated footing. Okay. As you know guys, the other one is check the adequacy of assumed thickness. Right? This is the other. Find out the reinforcement details, as you know, especially for main bars, distribution bars, and legs for the footings. Also development length. So all about, you should find its reinforcement details. This is the other step. Check the bearing stress. Check the bearing stress. As you know guys, bearing stress mean compressive. This is compressive normal stress. Normal stress. Okay. So check the bearing stresses. Bearing stresses means compressive normal stress, it's also called. And check the development length. So I've already discussed, it's all depend on the factor loads. Now guys, remember this point. SBC, soil bearing capacity, is always a function of settlement consideration. If the bearing capacity of the soil is okay or good, so in soil there will be not any settlement. So therefore SBC is always function of settlement consideration. If more settlement allowed are considered, so the smaller size of the footing will not be failed. It doesn't mean if the size of the footing is small, okay, so it will fail. But guys, remember, but unequal settlement, anywhere unequal settlement, okay, or if there is settlement more and here less, more less settlement, okay, so settlement of the different footing in the building will causes cracking in structure. So guys, settlement make cracks in footing. So therefore you should check for settlement, especially for isolated footing and for any types of footing. So you should check its stresses and also bearing capacity of soil, and then from the footing loads, okay, you can find area, thickness, reinforcement detail, for check for development and shearing stresses, etc. And also follow these steps which I have discussed the front of you. Okay, then you are able to find also depth of isolated footing and also something more related with isolated footing. So therefore guys, this video is very helpful for you. So you should research for these points which I have discussed the front of you, especially for isolated footing. So guys, you can also make a screenshot from this. Let me focus. You can make a screenshot if you need these notes. Okay, so make a screenshot. So guys, if you have any question related with this topic, so you can comments. I will try to reply your answer. Thanks for watching. See you in next video. Goodbye.